The fighting in eastern Ukraine has in recent days got much heavier. What was a fragile situation has now become an increasingly dangerous one. Ukraine's President Petro Poroshenko, speaking in Davos, put the blame squarely on the Russians.
We have more than 9,000 troops of Russian Federation on my territory, including more than 500 tanks and heavy artillery and armed personnel carrier. If this is not an aggression, what is the aggression?
Not surprisingly, in Moscow, a very different version of events. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said there were no facts to justify claims his country's military were inside Ukraine. Here at the United Nations, a special session of the Security Council was convened amid fears that the situation is now seriously unravelling. The UN's political chief told ambassadors the ceasefire, brokered last September, now exists in name alone.
The Council meets today amidst the worst hostilities in eastern Ukraine since the ceasefire and Minsk Protocol were agreed on 5 September. Encouraging signs of progress, such as the exchange of hundreds of prisoners, are quickly being overshadowed by renewed fighting and a deepening political stalemate. Ukraine, as well as its neighbors in the broader region, cannot afford the current violent status quo.
Diplomats were told the humanitarian situation is getting worse. A country where no people were displaced a year ago now has well over 1 million people who've had to flee their homes. Hastily convened talks in Berlin brought together the Russians, Ukrainians and a delegation from France and Germany. All sides said they'd work to defuse the tension, but with the fighting flaring on the ground, hopes are not high. James Bays, Al Jazeera, at the United Nations.